Hello, Dr. Patel.
Hey, Dr. Moore, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing well. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. I always love talking to you about things. Today, we're going to talk about the adrenal cortex test. So tell me about why you would order this, like in what circumstance?
This is actually a test I order quite often, only because when we think about stress, and that's what that hormone is, cortisol, it's a stress hormone. I want to measure that on an
Mm,
average day in somebody's life. And
mm,
just to kind of see, hey, you might be cool, calm, and collected on the exterior,
yeah.
but interior, let's see what's going on just in terms of how your body feels stress wise or stress wise.
Mm, sure.
Um, and stress can exacerbate, and high cortisol can exacerbate inflammation in the body and worsen not just mood, but GI symptoms, pain, things like that, fatigue,
Mm, yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
Um,
it plays into so much. I mean, this idea of stress, right? How do we measure it, but it is so impactful on anybody with pretty much any chronic issue, right? You would see is impacted by stress and cortisol.
exactly. And
Mhm.
then on the flip side, with people who have ongoing high stress that's unaddressed long
Mm,
term, then your adrenal glands, which are making that cortisol, could, just get tired in time and
right,
and functional.
right, and have a low output. So it's how. And the interesting thing I find is that you can never really guess how this is going to look, right? I mean, it can be high cortisol, it can be low. The symptoms can kind of mimic each other. That's why the testing is helpful.
Exactly. Yeah. And typically on like an average cortisol curve, cortisol should be highest in the morning in all human
Right,
beings.
right.
And you see a nice gradual decline as the day goes on. Um,
Mm.
Even people with like sleep dysfunction or trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, oftentimes I'll see a super high evening cortisol. And there's a lot of things in our toolkit we can help with that.
To address that. Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating. How is this test done? Like, what do people do when they get the kit?
Yeah, great question. So this is a 1 day kit, and basically it requires 4 saliva samples.
Mm-hmm.
So in the morning, noontime, 3 p.m., and around bedtime, just to kind of see again times of what cortisol looks like through the day.
Yeah.
It's pretty quick and easy overall.
So here's a sample adrenocortex report that you did on a patient. Walk me through this. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, for sure. So as you can see, there are 4 points on this curve, and you see the green, the yellow, the red. That is the average curve, the green for all human beings. So this curve is not tailored to age or gender, etc. And as you can see, you want to see cortisol highest in the morning and a nice gradual decline as the day goes on. This patient in particular presented with fatigue, insomnia, just a little bit of afternoon crash of energy. And so, as you can see, this patient felt great in the morning. Cortisol is perfect, but the issue is internally, body is feeling stressed into
Mm-hmm.
noontime. You can see that cortisol stays quite high, and that's almost double the triple of where we would want to see it. So that can, that you can have an idea of the kind of symptoms someone can have long term with a cortisol that high, right?
Yep.
The good news is it is coming down by 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., but it's still higher than where we want it, including the evening point, which to me, that's one of the biggest causes of sleep dysfunction is a lot of perhaps this patient had a lot of mental chatter or just like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of stress and worry when trying to go to bed or even
Yeah.
with screen, et cetera, and screen time. So I oftentimes I'll recommend a lot of lifestyle strategies to address a cortisol curve, but we have
Mm.
a lot of great things in our toolkit, especially adaptogenic herbs to help with just modulating stress.
So that's what you would recommend for that big peak around 11 or whatever that was 12 p.m. That's kind of where you would go with that adaptogenic herbs and lifestyle. Yeah, it would bring that down. Seems important to know this information, really. I mean, right?
It's
It's like
it's
crucial.
very important because like this patient, you would never correlate cortisol being high to sleep dysfunction or
Hmm.
cortisol being high to IBS symptoms.
Right.
We talk about brain gut connection and the perception of stress on the gut. You know, like thoughts can create physical symptoms. And so this is a
Absolutely.
good way to kind of see,
See
you
that
know, internally, what does stress look like in my body?
on paper. Yeah. Wow. Super, super interesting. This is great. Thank you so much, Dr. Patel.
You're welcome. Always got fun stuff.
Always.